So it's good. Yeah. Yeah, good evening everyone once again. Yeah. Before I start anything, I would like to implore you guys that irrespective of how it appears, please don't let us be discouraged anymore. The only thing to this thing, the only cure to what's happening, and the only remedy is just to prepare hard for the coming papers. All these things are telling us that we need to work hard. That's all. It doesn't have any other meaning. Actually, they didn't set more than what's inside their course material. If everyone has actually read the course material, then we'll be giving testimonies. So let's try to work hard. Let's all try our best. God help us. Okay, now, because of that, we'll be entering what we're hearing for today. Yesterday, we did reflection. And we explained reflection very well. To some extent, we can take a good look at the video we did or the recordings of yesterday. So that's actually going to go some way with you. So now today we'll be talking about refraction, because we finished reflection yesterday. But just a few recap about what we talked on yesterday. So we said reflection is the propagation of light wave. That it comes back to you after it's being incidented on a screen. We said we have two types. We have the on the plane surface, and we have the irregular or diffuse reflection. That of course on that doesn't occur on the plane surface. That doesn't occur on a plane surface. So now look at the difference between them. This is diffuse and this is regular. The diffuse is also known as irregular reflection. So don't let us waste much time on that. We've actually treated it yesterday and we've done some new things on it. So we talked about reflection through plane mirrors. Everything is inside the video. We talked about reflection through curved mirrors or on curved mirrors rather. We talked about the images formed by the curved mirrors. So everything has been touched yesterday. So today we'll be entering the refraction. Yeah. When we say refraction, what is refraction? These are properties of light waves. These are properties of light waves. So refraction, conventional refraction just means that it's sorry, I'm trying to get something. That's why I come back. Conventional refraction. We mean the change in the direction of light waves. The change in the direction of light wave when it changes its medium. This is a ray of light coming. This is a light wave. This is the direction coming towards this place. From air, now it's going to enter another medium. What's that medium? Let's say it is water. This is the medium, water. So, air is a medium. Water is another medium. When we take a good look at them, these two medium, these two media, they have different densities. Water is more denser than air. That's all what everyone knows. So now, this is the medium which is air. This is another medium which is water. So now, refraction is the bending of light waves. Is the bending of light waves when moving from one. Is the bending of light waves when moving from one medium to another medium. It causes it to change its direction. Take a good look at it. This is the light waves coming here. When it gets to this direction, or when it got to this direction, this boundary between the two media, it's changed its direction. So this is a typical example of what we're talking about. This is a glass block. This is a glass block, everyone. So the block is a solid. It's a solid. Let's call it a rectangular glass block. This is a light wave being projected or incidented now, coming like this, and it's incidented on this thing. So when it gets to this point, it's going to change its boundary. The first boundary has been air before. Now it's going to enter solid, right? Solid is always denser than air. And because air is gas, so the solid is always denser than air. So, than gas. So now, this is the other medium, that is solid. Let me just call it glass. This is the other medium, this is air. So now, refraction that we define is that this light wave is going to change its direction. It's coming this way. Now the direction changes. The direction changes this way. So it comes towards the normal. This is what we call the normal at the point. We mentioned it yesterday. Normal at the point of refraction. We call it normal at the point. If it is reflection, it will be normal at the point of reflection. We mentioned it yesterday. So now, this one now comes here. It gets to this boundary of the solid medium again. You know, here now, we're going to know that light is passing from this place to this place. Let's call this A, call this C. So B to C is one medium, which is glass. It's a solid medium. So now, A to B is one medium, which is air. When this light now gets air, it's not going to be absorbed. It's going to get out of the solid medium. So by getting out of the solid medium, it's going to enter the former medium. It's going to enter the former medium. So what is the former medium? The former medium is air. It enters the air back. It enters the air back with a path that is parallel to the first one. Because this one is air, this one too is air. That's why the path must be parallel. So now we call this the incident ray. This one in here that comes as a result of change in direction is known as the refracted ray. And this one here is known as the emergent ray. The emergent ray is always parallel to the incident ray. Let's take a look at it. You can see that the incident ray coming and the emergent ray coming like this. So the emergent ray too, we have it normal at the point here. The normal at the point will always be perpendicular to the plane of refraction or reflection. Will always be perpendicular at 90 degrees. 90 degrees, 90 degrees. That's what we mean like that. So now, let's take this one off. Actually not using our lateral displacement at the next. We're not using it now. So we already have AB, incident ray, BC, refracted ray, and CD is the emergent ray. So the angle that the incident ray makes with the normal at the point is known as the angle of incidence. The angle that the incident ray makes with the normal at the point is known as the angle of incidence. And the angle that the refracted ray, this is the refracted ray, makes with the normal at the point is known as the angle of refraction. This is it. R. So R is angle of refraction. It is the angle that the refracted ray makes with the normal at the point. So now come here again. This is the emergent ray. It also makes an angle with the normal to the point. That angle must always be equal to the angle of incidence. So we call it E. E equals to angle of emergence. Emergence. That is. Is there any question of what we need now? Any questions so far? Any question from anyone, please? Any question?
Please come again on that angle of incidence and angle of refraction, please. Don't be angry.
Okay. So, please, if you don't understand, just speak out, please. No anger here. I don't have anger issues. Okay, so we're saying that this is the incident ray. This is the point. Normal at the point. This is always perpendicular to the plane of reflection or refraction. case may be. And this is another normal at the point. So we were saying that the reflection is occurring, or refraction. No, there should be normal at the point. So the angle, this is reflection. Know that this is the normal at the point. Yeah, this is angle of incidence, angle of reflection. This one will not be the angle of incidence, and this one will not be the angle of reflection. No, that's anything for us here. The angle between the incident ray and the normal at the point. Incident ray and the normal at the point is known as the angle of incidence. And the angle between the refracted ray and the normal at the point is known as the angle of refraction. Angle of refraction. And the angle between the emergent ray and the normal at the point is known as the angle of emergence. And because the emergence is parallel, the emergent ray is parallel to the incident ray. Why? Because they are both in the same medium. This one was from air. It passed through glass. Now it has entered air back. Definitely they will follow the same path. So that's why the angle of incidence equal to the angle of emergence. I equals to E. Do you understand now, please? Do you understand now? Thank you. Yeah, please, any other question from anyone? Any question from anyone else?
Okay, I want to ask, is this incident ray the same thing as a refraction, angle of refraction?
No.
Because on our first material we have I equals to R.
Wait, you haven't gotten there now. That's the first law. That's
okay.
First law. Second law of reflection. You should watch yesterday's video. Please watch yesterday's video. Do you hear me? You understand that? Please watch it. Try to watch it. Forget about that thing now. Don't let it confuse you what we're doing here. Forget about it, Baramata. It's not under what we do here. That's I equals to R. It is the second law of reflection. That thing you mentioned now. The second law of reflection says that the angle of incidence equals to the angle of reflection. So what I'm doing here is that I is the angle of incidence and E is the angle of emergence. So since the both of them are in the same medium and they actually pass through the same path, you see, this one was in air before. It now passed through glass. Entering the glass, it deviates. It changes its direction. So upon getting to the air back, because this is the air, again, because when it got out of glass, it's entered the air back. Upon getting to the air back, it follows that same parallel path. That's why the emergence angle equals to the incidence. This is not a law. It's just law is other it. So now the first law, we have two laws of refraction. Law of refraction. We have two laws of refraction. The two laws of refraction. The first law of refraction is exactly. What do you say?
Somebody's raising hand.
What do you say? Okay. I said the laws of refraction. The first law of refraction is also as simple as the first law of reflection. So the first law of refraction states that the incident ray, refracted ray, and the normal at the point all lies on the same plane. Look at the three of them. Are they not this same plane? That is, this is the plane. It's not a plane like this. This is the plane. The three of them lie on this plane. Angle of incidence, ray, normal at the point, and refracted ray lie on the same plane. That is first law of refraction. So I'm going to write it here. First law of refraction. First law of refraction says that the incident ray, refracted ray, and normal at the point and the normal at the point all lies on the same plane. That is what the first law of normally the first law of reflections states that the angle of incidence, angle of reflection, and the normal at the point all lie on the same plane. So here now, the angle of refraction is telling us that the incident ray, the refracted ray, and the normal at the point too, they all lie on the same plane. So they are very similar laws and first law. So now the second law of refraction states that the ratio of the sine, S-I-N-E, of the angle of incidence to the sine of the angle of refraction is given by a constant. It says the sine of the angle of incidence, the ratio of the sine of the angle of incidence. This is sine of angle of incidence, that is sine I at the angle of incidence, to that of the sine of the angle of refraction over sine refraction R. That is ratio of sine I to sine R is given by a constant equals to a constant. This is a constant. This is a constant. This is the constant. So this law is known as the second law of refraction. It states that the ratio of the sine of angle of incidence to the sine of the angle of refraction is given by a constant. So that second law of refraction was stated by Snell. So they call it Snell's law of refraction. Snell's law of refraction. Snell's law of refraction states that sine I over sine R equals mu. Mu is a Greek alphabet. Mu. So this mu now is the constant, and the constant is known as, is not just a constant, it is known as the refractive. So where mu is the refractive index. So please, any question on this one? And to go back, please let me know now. Any question before we go to by everyone must understand this. Any question? Waiting for questions, please. Okay, if no question, then let me try to ask a question. Let me try to ask a question. This is water here. And this is air. This is water. So light ray coming from air like this, when it gets to water, changes its direction. So this is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. So who will tell me what A is? What is A? What do we call A? Who will tell me what B is? Who will tell me what C is? And who will tell me what D is? Anybody?
B is the angle of refraction.
A, B, Abi? Abi? You said B or A? What did you say, Joy?
B is the angle of incidence.
I'm not hearing you. What did Joy say? Joy, is it B you mentioned or A?
Mention angle of refraction. Am I correct?
Are you choosing
And A is the angle of incidence.
Which one are you saying? Like, is it B you called it or A? That's what I'm saying. So I will know if you're right or wrong. Joy. Okay. If it's B,
For B now.
Yeah, that's what I didn't hear before. I was asking you to repeat it. B is the angle of refraction. You are very right. Okay, I think Jeffrey too mentioned something. Jeffrey, Jeff of Lagos. Let's hear from you. Jeff of Lagos.
I initially said that A is the angle of incidence.
Said that. Bad mention. Okay. Who's telling us what A is? Anyone from the group?
A is the angle of reflection.
A is the angle of reflection. Angle of
reflection.
From one medium. No. It is moving from one medium to another. That makes it refraction and not reflection. It is moving from one medium to another. So A is the angle of refraction. If it's reflection is like this. This is how the path of reflection looks like. So, but the path of refraction looks like this.
A is the angle of incidence.
A is the angle of incidence. Thank you. A is the angle of incidence. Thank you, Jade. Thank you. I think I even wrote what he said. A is the angle of incidence. Yeah. What is C?
C, incidence.
C is what?
Incidence.
Is what? An incident what?
Incidence.
Incident.
Incident ray.
Incident ray. And what is D? This is D. What is it?
Eminent ray.
It's all right, something. Eminent.
Eminent.
D is what?
Eminent.
Eminent.
Eminent ray.
Yes. It's not eminent. It is this one here. It's not eminent ray. It is refracted ray. So now, if this is the refracted ray. If this thing leaves the water again, do you get me? That the light, when entering the water, it now left the water again. The ray that's going to leave the water will be known as emergent ray. So, but now it's just incident and refracted. So, Jeff of Lagos, the thing is incident ray. You can call it angle of incidence because of exam. Angle of incidence. But when you want to incident ray, not incident ray, incident ray. So that's as per that. I think we've treated the two laws of refraction. Incident ray, thank you. Okay, we treated the laws of refraction now. So the second law, who will tell me another name for it? He said the first law of refraction says that the incident ray, the refracted ray, and the normal at the point, all lies on the same plane. That's the first law of refraction. The second law says that this ratio of the sine of the angle of incidence to the ratio of the sine of the angle of refraction is given by a constant. So who's going to tell me that law? What's the name of that law? That second law of refraction. They call it another name. This was it.
Snell's law.
Snell's
law. Snell's law.
This is how we know Snell. For those that don't know it, Snell's law. SNELL apostrophe S. Snell's law. And we said that the thing is given by a constant. What is that constant known as? Sine I over sine
Sine I over sine R also N
equals
constant.
The constant is Mr. Ime. Where the constant is
Is
what?
U?
You know?
Is it U or N?
It's not U, it's not N. So it's a Greek alphabet. We call it mu. We call it mu, M-U, mu. Like delta, alpha, omega, theta, phi, something like that. So we call this one mu. So this I is known as angle of incidence. R is known as angle of refraction. So what is mu? Mu is known as what? Anybody? Anybody?
No idea.
Right. From other person. Another person, please. I don't believe there's no idea from anyone. That happens.
It's a
Mu
constant.
is the constant.
Mu is the constant. What that constant is known as? The constant is known as something. You know, in Ohm's law, there is a constant. R is the constant. That R is known as the resistance or resistor. So what is mu here? Mu is the constant. It is known as what? Okay, it is known as refractive index. The refractive index. It is known as the refractive index. Please know it. Mu is known as the refractive index. This refractive index, we say, it is a dimensionless quantity. What do we mean by dimensionless? It has no units. It is like magnification. When they say the naming quantities that have no units, you should be able to name like 5. No more. So we have this one. Refractive index doesn't have. We've actually met another one inside this optics. That's magnification. Magnification also doesn't have unit. Specific gravity doesn't have unit. They are known as dimensionless quantities. Strain of elasticity, strain in Young's modulus. Strain doesn't have unit. Okay, I've mentioned specific gravity. I think mechanical advantage. Velocity ratio doesn't have unit. So we have them like that, and like that, and like that. So please, do we understand this refraction now? Or what we've done on that? Do you understand this? Any question from anyone? Any question from anyone, please? Let's look at the next question. Any question? Any question? Okay, I'll take it as no question. Let's continue. Why is refractive index refraction incident constant? I don't understand you, but I think what you are, please, what about you speak out? I don't understand the question. Please speak out, Mr. Simeon. Please speak. Mr. Simeon, if you are here, please speak. I don't understand the question there. Please. Kindly speak out. Okay. Oh, I understand. But I don't understand your question. What about if you rewrite? Okay, Mr. Charles. Maybe you should rewrite. Mr. Charles, okay.
Yeah, sorry, good evening. Oh, I'm just joining. Just finished from church. I don't know if you have gone too far for me to catch up what's going on.
Yeah, it's not really too far. We just talked about the loss of refraction now. We just talked about the loss of refraction. And so, but since the video will be out, we just continue from there. We are entering the next thing, so don't be confused. We said the loss of refraction. I'll recap in very short form now. Okay, another question. Any question from anyone? Okay, if that's the case, we move on. I said that loss of refraction. The first law of refraction says that the incident ray, the refracted ray, and the normal at the point, three of them, they all lie on the same. That is the first law of refraction. And the second law of refraction is also known as Snell's law. Snell's law of refraction. It states that the ratio of the sine of the angle of incidence, that is, ratio of to the sine of the angle of refraction is given by a constant. This is the constant. So where I sine is the angle of incidence, R is the angle of refraction, and the constant is known as the refractive index. Refractive index. So this is Snell's law of refraction. We also call it the second law refraction. Common question is possible we encounter something like this. Okay, that's done as for that. The next thing we'll be talking on is the we talked about laws of refraction in critical angles. We've talked about the formula too, that refractive index equals to sine I over sine R, where I is the angle of incidence and R is the angle of refraction. Talked about that. So now, this is an angle of incidence. This is glass. Please, let's concentrate very well. Incidence ray like this. Normal at the point like this. Refracted ray changes direction like this. Angle of incidence like this. Angle of refraction like this. So if this is 30 degrees and this is 45 degrees, and we're asked to calculate the refractive index. So we'll just use the second law, that's the Snell's law of refraction, that refractive index is equals to sine of angle of incidence over sine of angle of refraction. Since angle of incidence is 30, angle of refraction is 45. That's okay. Let me use 60. Sine 60. So sine 60 over sine arms. That's sine 45 degrees. So here, if you press your calculator, sine 60 is 0.8660. Am I right? Yeah, I'm surely right. Over sine 45. What was that? 0.7071. I beg somebody should help me check the calculator over there. Am I right? Sine 60. Sine 60, I'm sure of that. Sine 45. Am I right? Yes. Anyone? Sine 45. This is what I know of hand, so I'm not really, I don't know if I'm calculated. Sine 45. Anybody? With calculator. Oh, who is doing it for us now? I don't have calculator, I would have been doing it straight. I don't have calculator at the end. Sine 45, please. Anyone? Okay. I think that
0.851.
I'm quite. Sine 45, man.
Sine 45 is 0.70.
Yeah, sir. Yeah, 0.70.
0.85.
Sine 45 is 0.70.
See, I'm right. 0.7071. So what is my basis? I'm right, Jerry.
You are right, you are right.
So I should get this is 0.866 divided by 0.7071. Maybe 1.4 something. Let me check this. I should get 1.4 something. Anybody? 0.866 divided by 0.7071.
1.224.
1.224. So shall I just say 1.22? So what's the unit, anyone? Everyone, what's the unit of this thing, please? The unit. What's the unit of this refractive index? You calculated the value. This is the magnitude. What about the unit?
You don't get units now. Should be like that.
I was maybe Newton's. I be Joules. That's very good. And as simple as that, you've gotten it using the Snell's law. And that's how we are going to just branches. This we are asked. So I'm very sure of that. So now I said this is the air, this is the glass. This thing now that is air, and this one that is glass now. When light is changing its direction, note this thing. It might even be a question. I want people to come into our group tomorrow and say, wow, thank God. The thing was okay. That's why I want to be here tomorrow. God help us. So that, note this thing, that the a light wave that is undergoing refraction, that is changing its direction, definitely its frequency will change. Its frequency will remain unchanged. The frequency of the light wave will remain unchanged, but its wavelength will change. So the wavelength of light in air is different from its wavelength in glass. That's what we're saying in essence. That the wavelength of light in air is different from its wavelength in glass. Sorry, I want to. Okay, so we said the frequency will remain unchanged and the wavelength will surely change. So the wavelength of light in this place, the wavelength of light in this medium, which is air, let's call it wavelength 1. Wavelength is represented as this. For those of us that know what wave is, for those of us that know what wave is, this is wave motion, progressive wave motion. This is a crest, this is another crest, this is a trough, and this is another trough. So the distance between two successive crests or trough is known as the wavelength of the wave. It's known as the wavelength. So it's known as the wavelength. So it might be from this place to this place, or from this place to this place. So the one at the top is crest, the one at the down is trough. So the distance between two successive crests is known as the wavelength. So the wavelength is represented by the Greek alphabet known as lambda. Lambda is the wavelength. It is in meters. Lambda. So now the wavelength of light in the first medium is lambda 1. And the wavelength of light in the second medium is lambda 2. The first medium is air, right? So speed of light, since the wavelength is changing, definitely the speed will change to affect it. It actually depends on it. So now, speed of light in the first medium will be what? V1. So normally, speed of light in air, we all know what it is. It is C. And the C is always known as 3 times 10 raised to the power 8 meter per second. That one has been calculated since light will travel 300 million meters in 1 second. That's the speed of light. So the speed of light in air is V1 or C. Please note this. Is V1 or C. Me, I'm using C now. You can use V1 as well. And the speed of light in the second medium, when it gets to glass, you know now, when it gets to glass, it won't be as fast as it was when it was in water. So it is V2. When it's in air, it is V1. When it's in glass, it is V2. Glass is denser than air. That's why it will reduce. So this one here, it is normally, they've calculated it too. Yeah, I happen to know it often. That's just it. The value of the speed of light inside glass is 2 times 10 raised to the power 8 meter per second. So as this one is traveling 300 million meter per second, this one will travel 200 million meter per second in glass. So you might not get bothered about that too much. I just want you to know that since the frequency is unchanged for a body that is undergoing refraction, the frequency is unchanged. So the lambda 1 is the first wavelength. That is the wavelength of the body when it is in the air. Air as in the first medium. So when it enters the second medium, it changes its wavelength. That is lambda 2. Now, in the first medium, it has one speed. In the second medium too, it has another speed. That is V2. Okay, Jeff of Lagos. Anything, sir?
Okay, I wanted to ask whether, since the frequency will not change and the wavelength will change, will the wavelength increase or decrease in a denser medium?
Yeah, that's actually depending on what the medium is. Yeah, your question, I think I haven't thought about it for once. Maybe by taking some few examples under it, someone will be able to determine. But with what we are going to write here, we will even see by ourselves. That is it, will it be? Maybe, let's see. It might decrease, it might increase. But normally, the speed will decrease. So I
No, I'm
suppose
actually talking about a denser medium. If it is
yeah. It will decrease, don't worry. It will decrease. So far, the speed is also decreasing. The wavelength too will decrease. The wavelength will decrease because it is entering a denser medium. You know, a denser medium will provide more restriction to it. It will be restricted more than normal. Do you understand? Do you understand, Jeff?
Yes.
Okay. So now, this is what we call the refractive index. Refractive index from air to glass. Refractive index of a body moving from air to glass equals to refractive index of air, that is 1, over refractive index of glass. Now equals to the speed of air, speed of light in air, C, over speed of light in glass, over V. Let me call it V. So this is a formula. I'll look for an example here. So this formula is very important. And this is the reason I'm explaining all these things, just to derive this formula. So that refractive index equals to speed of light in air over speed of light in the other medium. This is a question. This is a question. Odiki is not here. Jeff will surely do the work for us to do. A beam of light. A beam of light of wavelength. Jeffrey, are you writing it for us?
Come again, please.
Okay. A beam of light. B-E-A-M. B-E-A-M. A beam of light. A beam of light of wavelength. A beam of light of wavelength 550 nanometers. 550 nanometers. nm. The beam of light of wavelength 550 nanometers. nm. So, traveling in air is incident on a surface of transparent material. Is incident on a surface of transparent material. Is incident on the surface of transparent material. My system is going up. The incident beam makes an angle of 60 degrees. Are you writing it? The incident beam makes an angle of 60 degrees with the normal. And the refracted beam makes an angle of 45 degrees with the normal. Calculate the refractive index of the material. This is something we have done. Calculate the refractive index of the material. You guys can give it a try yourself. Okay? You can give that one a try by yourself. You won't do it again. I've done something like that. Okay, shall we move ahead now? This is the formula. Now let's say the formula says that calculate the refractive index of a yellow light that has the speed of this when it gets to glass, when it enters glass, it has the speed of 2 times 10 raised to power 7 meter per second. 2 times 10 raised to power 7 meter per second. That is its speed inside that other medium. Thank you very much, Jeff. Are you with me, everyone? That's the speed in the other medium. 2 times 10 raised to power 7 meter per second. So now, and we are asked to look for the refractive index. We know that the C is the speed of light. That's 3 times 10 raised to power 8 meter per second. Now, it's very simple. Use the formula. The refractive index mu equals to C over V. And what is C? C is 3 times 10 raised to power 8 meter per second over V. V is 2 times 10 raised to power 7. So doing the mass here, we should have 1.5 times 10 meter per second. That's 15. That's 15. That's 15. That is 15 will be the refractive index. The refractive index cannot be this big. But because I found my question of hand, that's why it is like this. Refractive index is always 1.7 to 1.7. And note that refractive index will never be less than 1. Refractive index will never be less than 1. It will never be less than 1. Why? Because refractive index is C over V. And C is the speed of light in air. Air is faster in lighting, but it's faster in air than any other thing, than in water, than in glass. So it will have something, 1 point something, 1 point something. That's it. So refractive index can never be equal to 1. Let's also note that. So that's that as for that. Please, any question before we run for? Any question, please. Make sure you ask. There must be a question, please. Okay, Jeff.
Since refractive index cannot be less than 1, does it mean that the angle of incidence is always greater than the angle of refraction?
If it is moving from a less dense medium to a denser medium. Look at it here.
Okay. That means refractive index can also be less than 1 if the wave of light is moving from a denser medium to a less dense medium, right?
Bro, you took get brave, but no. Look at this thing. You took get brave. This is the speed, this thing, moving from this, what's it called? From this medium, this is light medium, less dense medium. Your question will be answered right now. A less dense medium, moving towards a denser medium. When entering a denser medium, the ray will bend towards the normal at the point. So refractive will be small. So and this one is big. So if this is 60 and this one is 45, you know this should be more than 1. So 1 point, we got 1.22, 1.22. So now, if the thing is coming from glass normally, if the refractive index is coming from glass, and the light is coming from glass, this is the normal at the point, and this is the refractive angle. So I this, and this is, let's say this is 60 there, and this is 45 degrees. So now, if we do the calculation here, we definitely have something that is less than 1. But I'm the person that is answering this question and saying that we'll have something less than 1. But I will still tell you that refractive index can never be less than 1, because water can never be the source of that light. That's number 1. Number 2 is that
because water can never do what?
Be the source of the light. The light will surely come from somewhere. Even before, maybe it's coming from somewhere, entering the water first, and now going out of the water again. Another way of answering this question is that we most talk about the speed of light. Speed of light. This is mostly what this thing depends on. Speed of light. So, well, maybe let's call it incompetence. Or because I never thought of a question like that. I'd never in my life seen a question, a refractive index less than 1. And I will never see. I'm very sure of that. For your question, I'll find a way to prove myself well. Do you understand me, sir?
that means if somebody wants to calculate a refractive index that the wave of light is coming from a denser medium to a less denser medium, that should be the inverse of emergent rays against the refractive ray.
Yeah, but that thing you are saying now, you never say something like that. I'll work on that thing and give you a reply. I'll work on it and give you a reply. I surely know it can't. My proofs are not. I don't know how to express myself about it.
You go explain.
Don't worry, I will bring evidence. I really don't know how to express myself about it. So definitely, I'll come to you. We'll talk maybe tomorrow, perhaps. We'll talk, and I'll explain better. I sure know that you will never have this thing less than 1. You will never. Because this is fundamental. It's moving from light to this. So, we'll talk about it later. I've actually got the answer. We'll talk about it. Gotten the answer right now. Okay. I want to talk about something now. That is what we call the critical angle. I don't know. Is there anyone that's familiar with the critical angle here before? The critical angle. The critical angle. Anybody? What do you think the critical angle could be? This is what everybody. I have a definition for you before, but I took a look inside the course material again. I saw that they use another thing. So now I want to use that definition. I love the definition I know. I mean, it's not really definition, the illustration to define it. So this is a fish inside the water. So now, let's say a light wave from this point gets to this place. It is coming from a dense medium to a less dense medium. Definitely it's going to bend towards the light, bend away from it. Let me do it again. It's going to bend away. So definitely it's going to bend away from the normal at the point. So this is the angle of incidence. This is the angle of refraction. So now, there's a particular point where this thing will keep bending. If this angle that is here, look at it very well. If this angle that is here, if it increases a little bit, it comes to this point. And this is the normal at the point. This arrow will bend perpendicular to this normal at the point. It will now become this. So, and this is the angle of incidence. Please look at the two images very well. Look at the two images very well. This is the angle of incidence here. This is the angle of incidence here. This is the angle of refraction here. This is the angle of refraction here. Okay, what's your question?
I think this critical angle has something to do with angle 90 degrees.
That's why I'm showing the perpendicular angle here. I said it is perpendicular. You can see I've already written right angle.
So actually why I asked that my question when you said that refractive index cannot be less than 1. I think when we are talking about critical angle to the perpendicular to the refractive angle.
I said I already have. Let me interrupt you. I said I already have an answer to your question. I don't wish to be explaining it here anymore. That's why. You said, when I was rubbing the bottom, I said I already have an answer to it. Maybe after I finish, I'll go and write it inside of it. You are right. It can come that way. So, but on a condition, that's the condition I will. It can be less than 1 on a condition. That's the condition I will. Don't worry. So it's that condition that is not common. That's why you don't see it as 1 in those cases. So it's possible. I'll come and explain to you. I'm getting the answer. You yourself, you know, say I don't get evidence now. So this is the angle of refraction. This is the angle of incidence here. This is the angle of incidence here. This is the angle of refraction here. So now one thing we want us to know is that this angle of incidence, it gets to a particular point. When it now goes to this point, the angle of refraction becomes 90 degrees. So this point where this angle of incidence becomes is what we call the critical angle. So I write that the critical angle is the angle of incidence. Is the angle of incidence. The critical angle is the angle of incidence in the denser medium. Don't forget that this is water and this is air. So water is denser. Angle of incidence in the denser medium. Critical angle is the angle of incidence in the denser medium. Is the angle of incidence in the denser medium when the angle of refraction in the less dense medium is 90 degrees. When the angle of refraction in the less dense medium, which is air, is 90 degrees. So the angle of incidence that produces this angle of refraction, the angle of incidence that produces this angle of refraction is known as the critical angle. If it is not 90 degrees, then it is not critical. This one is ordinary angle of incidence because the angle of reflection is up to 90 degrees. So once it is up to 90 degrees, then the angle of incidence is not more angle of incidence. It is called critical angle. So it is represented as C. So there is a formula that connects this critical angle C and the mu, refractive index mu together. The formula is this: mu equals 1 over sine C. I think I can write the formula somewhere. This is from glass to air equals 1 over from air to glass. As from air to glass, sine I over sine R. So 1 over this to this equals sine C over what is R? Sine 90 degrees. I'm sorry, I'm not explaining to you guys. I'm only trying to get my formula right. 1 over A mu G equals sine C over what's a 91. So doing the math here, I should have A mu G equals 1 over sine C. So this is the formula. So this is the formula. It is known as the formula that connects the, what's it called? That connects the refractive index. Okay, you're raising your hand. Okay. That connects the refractive index and the critical angle together. Please speak out.
Does it mean that this critical angle is the inverse function of the sign of incidence to the ratio of the sign of incidence to the sign of refraction? Is the inverse function of the other one we talked about, right?
Hey, you know something? When you know too much, you'll be having problem. Jeff, you're having problem because of this thing. Let me tell you, it is not it. Take a good look at it. It's not the inverse function. It's not the inverse of it. This thing is the inverse. That sine I over sine R. The inverse of it cannot be this. It cannot be this one. You have to sit down with it very well. Don't be confused. Maybe because of the formula I tried to bring out. The inverse of the refractive index of a body moving from glass to this, of a body moving from glass to air, its inverse is the refractive index of the body moving from air to glass. What I mean is that the body moving from air to glass is A mu G. It's going to be the inverse of a body moving from glass to air. G mu A. This is the logic. This is what I did. This is what I did. So if this is sine I over sine R for a body moving from air to glass, if their body is moving from glass to air, it's going to be sine R over sine I. So
that's what I asked. Now that means it's yes. The answer is yes. What I asked. Exactly what I asked.
You are quite close to it. Not really, my brother. But just quite close to it. The way you express it, you put it down. Let's go argue about that later. Yeah, so don't let us lost it. I love your cranium. I believe we'll go. Yeah. Any question on this one, anybody, please? Any question? Any question on this? on what we've talked about right now. Any question, please? From anyone? I need someone to ask a question. Any question, please? Yeah, we'll finish it. So I'll explain what I mean.
What this formula get as you, but on God, sir.
Good talk. Let it be the formula now. Don't be the formula be this. Don't worry, Jeff. Don't be confused at all. I can explain to you.
Never POP, sir. I just want to for POP, I beg.
No man. Any question from anyone, please? Okay, let's take it as. Let's take it as we've all understood this one. So the next one is what we call the total internal reflection. Total internal reflection. Just don't forget the critical angle. That's all. So I'm going to explain total internal reflection. What do we mean by total internal reflection? This is the angle of incidence, right? It is actually equal to here. Mr. Charles. Okay. That was a mistake, right? Okay, you're raising it. What's your question?
It's no mistake. Only Jesus Christ know that everything I'm seeing here is just looking like gibberish. I don't even know what's going on.
Seriously.
Make una know very so I just didn't talk my mind.
God, I beg.
Maybe it's actually because you didn't start with us.
Yeah,
the video
bit of God, I beg.
Smith is here. The video will be out by God's grace. So you can look it overnight. Watch it overnight. Maybe you are even going to gain from it. Because I'm trying to put some
another thing is, if you are using the course material to follow up, you understand it more, sir.
That's why I remember. Now, Jeff, all these things I'm taking are from content of the course material. I don't have it with me here. But that's how they arranged it. That's how they arranged it in the course material. Yeah,
and
maybe I didn't talk about.
Sorry.
In the material, I did not talk about apparent depth and real depth, so I did not enter it. So because you understand what we are working towards, so I don't want to use it to waste our time. So I'm actually following the course material. There's no more here with me. The system is off, but I remember how they arranged there. So that's it. The next step is total internal reflection. Total internal reflection. See this thing? Please take a good look. From this place, this is refraction normally. Body, when it's moving, it's refracted out. Now, instead of it to be refracted out, because the angle of incidence is already up to the critical angle. Mr. Charles, please, you can watch the video. At least it won't be as strange as it is now when you're watching the video. And I'm quite sure you'll get some things to use an example from this video. Quite sure of that. I'm very sure of that one. So, this is the angle of refraction. It is 90 degrees here. So now, if I just take this thing and make it bigger than the angle of incidence and the critical angle. If I make this, when it's actually critical angle, the angle of refraction becomes 90 degrees. What if I make it bigger than the critical angle? And I'll make it an angle that is bigger than the critical angle. If I make it an angle that is bigger than the critical angle, definitely I should get something that is coming back. So it will be reflected back. When it was small, it's like this. When it becomes bigger, it becomes like this. It becomes bigger again, it becomes like this. So this is the normal at the point, which is this is the angle of incidence, and this is coming back. This is the angle of reflection now. So this is what we call total internal reflection. Total internal reflection. It is being reflected back. So when I define total internal reflection, I will say that total internal reflection is the phenomenon. Is the phenomenon whereby light wave is being reflected back in the dense medium. This is the dense medium. Water is being reflected back in the dense medium due to a bigger angle of incidence than the critical angle. That is due to an angle of incidence that is bigger than the critical angle. So far, the angle of incidence has become bigger than the critical angle. Definitely, the angle of refraction is going to be inside. So we will not have any refraction. We will only have reflection. And this is normal at the point. We have this I greater than the critical angle. And we will have this as the angle of reflection. So no more the refraction. So that is total internal reflection. Total internal reflection. The two conditions for total internal reflection, that's what we actually benefit us out of our exam. The two conditions of total internal reflection. Number one, the angle of incidence must be greater than the critical angle. That's the first condition. Okay, Jeff. Any question?
Yes, okay. Does it mean that for a refraction to take place, the angle of incidence must be less than 90 or 90?
For refraction to take place, the angle of incidence must be less than critical angle. Must be less than critical angle. Critical angle, see. Okay, wait. What do you ask? I think I didn't get your question well. Come again, please.
Does it mean that for a refraction to take place, the angle of incidence must be the angle of incidence is the critical angle, which is 90, right?
No, it's not the one that is 90.
Which is an emerging angle of 90.
Refraction angle of 90. Which causes refraction angle of 90?
Okay.
Yes.
Does it mean that for a refraction to take place, the refracting angle must be 90 degrees or less?
For refraction to take place, the refracting angle will be less than 90 degrees.
Okay.
So I think I got what you want to say. That for refraction to take place, the angle of incidence must be less than the critical angle. Because once it becomes the critical angle, we will have what is this? And what becomes greater than the critical angle, we will have total internal reflection. So, see what you're asking is prose questions, and I'm actually happy that I can give reply to them. So, but if you don't understand them well, it's what we can talk about ourselves. I don't want to let people get lost here. You understand me? So, and if I open Mr. I think it's because he came late. Mr. Charles, he's actually someone like you. Your questions are always technical. Very, very technical. But no for okay, so the first condition for total internal reflection to occur is that the angle of incidence must be greater than the critical angle. Critical angle is the angle of incidence when the refraction angle is 90 degrees. So the angle of incidence must be greater than the critical angle. And for the second one is that light must be passing from an optically dense medium. You know the light started from this water. That's why I said I already have the answer to your question. Optically dense medium to an optically less dense medium. That is from water to air. These are the two conditions for total internal reflection. Number one, the angle of incidence must be greater than critical angle. Number two, the light must be passing from an optically less dense medium to an optically dense medium to an optically less dense medium. So, any question from anybody? Miss Joy, any question?
I don't have any question.
Okay, Miss Maki or Mr. Any question? Any question, Mr. Maki? Okay. Mr. Ime, any question, sir? Mr. Ime, any question? Can you be reply? Okay, I suppose Mr. Charles will watch the video again and he will surely come and ask me questions.
Short with the people where you got about sleep off.
If they are asleep, that doesn't concern me, man. Moreover, the most important thing here now is that I'm happy we have the video. Those that we are here together now, you guys can watch the video again. So, and it's just that it's about time. God will help everyone. God will help everyone. Okay. Any question from anybody? At least I'm happy that I have at least 2 or 3 people moving with me.
I think the main topic on this physics 103 is just this what's it called?
It's not just one topic. It's that wave.
Wave, yeah.
Yeah, it's wave. We're talking about wave. So we have the properties of wave, everything. Please, let me use the remaining time to advise. Let me tell myself to motivational speaker, like Jeffrey inside book. Please, everyone, we can all do this thing well. Please. It's by devotion. Be devoted. Let us all try to get a good grade tomorrow. Like, I really want to be hearing, wow, I did well. I'm happy. I swear to God, that's what I really want. Please, everyone, let us actually work hard for it. Let's work well. Kickstarter, you can cut your own video. I don't talk motivational speaker. So, failing doesn't mean anything, though. Even myself, my score today wasn't good. I get 30. I don't like that. So, let's actually try. Not be 30 get again, noticing at 30 and get but at 30 something. That's not good. So, let's try to